Do you feel like your business is running your life instead of the other way around? I'm Roy Castleman. I built multiple seven-figure companies, worked across continents, and coached high-performing entrepreneurs. But I've also been completely burnt out. At one point, I was barely seeing my daughter, drowning in stress, and one step away from walking away from it all. That's when I made a decision to build a business and a life that works for me. The journey became Elevate 360, a system to help business owners reclaim their time, find their energy again, and get back in control, without sacrificing growth. And this podcast, Power Movers, is where I share real stories behind that shift. Each week you'll hear from entrepreneurs, founders, and leaders who've walked through the fire and come out the other side with clarity, courage, and a system that works. If you're ready to build a business that gives you more life instead of taking it away, you're in the right place. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Got a real treat today, Dr. Anne-Marie King, who is here to talk to us about all things business. And I love it when you can meet somebody that's not only inspiring, but also has a very complimentary service to what you're doing. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So let's go back. Let's go back a little bit. You told me a little bit of your story before, but let's set the context. Yeah, you are a doctor. You were in some really challenging fields, and you'd still be learning today if you'd carried on there, I'm sure. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I was one of those people who was like 4 years old and knew I was going to be a doctor. For those who know the British show Casualty, I just watched that and thought that's exactly what I'm going to do. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. I don't know why, but that's what I wanted to do. And as I sort of went through that journey, I also wanted to kind of focus on the happy side of medicine. I wanted to be somewhere where there's some sense of miracle or joy as well. So that's what kind of brought me to, oh, I think I'm going to do obstetrics. I'd love to kind of, be in that journey of bringing babies into the world. And then, I got older and then I was like, oh, okay, well, it's a bit boring. What else can I do? What's the next challenge? What's the next something? And I thought, oh, do you know what? It'd be really cool to do, fetal and neonatal surgery. So that's the surgery on the little ones inside the womb and outside the womb. And I thought, oh, that's really, really cool. You've got the art, you've got your hands, you've got the science, you've got the people, you've got the just absolute elite sense of like I'm doing everything I possibly can to perform at my best, but also deliver my best. So that was the whole dream. That was the whole frame. And I
Nobody told you that you were actually an entrepreneur inside.
yeah, I know. And the funny thing about that as well is I grew up in a household with parents who were entrepreneurs, I guess. They were business owners. They had multiple different businesses. And I just saw them working so hard and it just seeming like, oh, you're always working. Oh, I'm not going to do anything that's hard like that. I'm just going to do I'm
So
just
you
going to
go
do
into
surgeon.
medicine.
I guess everyone picks their hard, right? And I thought, oh no, like being in business, it looks like they're always stressed about money and it looks like they're always stressed about what's going on. And we had a lovely childhood. We had a lovely upbringing. So really grateful for what we were able to have. We wouldn't have had that otherwise. But I somehow created this definition in my mind that like business is like struggle or something. But, I I started my first business when I did side hustly things, but my first proper company was sort of the first year of medical school. And it was because by this time I had been teaching other people science, maths, all that kind of stuff. I found school quite easy and loved trying to figure out, well, what's your frame of reference for how you're looking at the world? And how can I understand that in order to help you learn better? And I didn't articulate it like that then, but that's basically what I was doing and what was enjoyable about it for me, going into somebody else's mind. Um, so essentially, what I do, so my first job was teaching. I did teaching. I got referred a lot because people liked my teaching. And then I was referred to a lot of sort of high net worth individuals and families and stuff all over the place. And that kind of just grew and grew. And I was like, well, I can't see everyone and I can't teach everyone, but this is a great opportunity. How do I like create more of me? So first business lesson of, oh, I think I could just hire someone else to do exactly what I'm doing. And then you go through, yeah, understanding that's not how it works, but you got to go through the lessons. And I mean, I did pretty well pretty quickly. I had lots of challenges, lost money, made money. But as a student, I was making pretty good money, like beyond what most people were making as a consultant in the NHS. So I had this weird thing of training to be a doctor, but also growing this business and then being in rooms with lots of really successful people, very wealthy people, and being able to do things that kind of I wasn't taught I should be able to do yet, right? And especially if you do the whole like medicine, go through the hierarchy of levels, you're very used to, the carrot is right at the end of the the
Yeah.
journey. And then I realized, well, that doesn't need to be true. Oh my goodness, I can make all this money now. I can have fun, I can learn, I can grow much faster than what I seemed to be doing at medical school. But I kept them both going. And obviously then needed a manager and a team to keep things going. So went through those lessons. And still tried to pursue my neonatal surgery stuff, went to New York for a little while and just realized, oh my goodness, this is not fun. Everything I had hoped it would be, it just wasn't. People were very, very depressed on the team. It was just not the environment that I would have hoped it would be. And so you kind of deal with the reality of things. And I just realized, oh, this is not fun. And I think I need fun. I think I need to love what I do. So I kind of came back to England and continue to do business stuff, continue to see, is there any way I can make the medicine part make sense? And actually, what I started gearing towards was psychiatry because I love the mind, but I specifically wanted to apply it not just to disease, I wanted to apply it to optimizing things. And how do I take this understanding and apply it to what people want in their lives? And so by this point, adults were just asking me to work with them. Can you help me with, my business and the mental models that you use? I really like that. And so that was generally kind of growing in its own way. And so pairing the psychiatry and pairing more kind of performance psychology thinking and cognitive neuroscience, I started getting all these specialisms pretty much thinking about optimizing performance. And then it just became over time more applied to business and business and business and business until now that I'm working with a lot of kind of scaling founders and coaches and consultants who are trying to grow and removing the blocks from them growing, essentially. That's the
And I want to dig into that a little bit because that's a foundational piece for everybody. Yeah, for me, entrepreneurship is such fun. I love it.
yeah.
Yeah, I love the journey. I love the light going on in somebody's eyes, and making a real difference in a short amount of time, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, because I've made all the errors. I've lost the millions. I've made the millions. All these kind of things that yeah. If I'd just had those journeys beforehand, if I'd known about these things beforehand, I wouldn't have made them. And
Hmm.
for me, a foundational lesson was actually to become coachable. To be able to say, actually, it's not a bad thing to lose something.
Mm.
To ask for help. Sorry, and that then kind of spurred me on to go and learn more and learn. You're like me. I'm always learning every day.
Hmm.
It's a learning day, right? You have to
Hmm.
learn as much as you can. And going through now and the era that we're in, the time that we're in, the biggest single problem for business owners is loneliness. Strangely enough,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Not You get kind of really, you don't have the deep connections.
Mm.
You've got the family connections, yeah, But really, after you've spoken to your wife or your partner a few times, they don't really want to hear about all the exciting things you're doing because they're not exciting to them. Yeah,
Mm,
you can't speak to your staff because they're your staff, right? Yeah, even the people that work alongside you in the management team, you have this different relationship because you always need to be able to hold your power and yeah, be the bad guy if you need to be, right? So
mm,
it becomes a very lonely thing.
mm.
Yeah, and I've started looking at all of this, mental side of things a lot as well, because as we go into this next couple of years, it's not going to be the mundane, run-of-the-mill things that people are going to need, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be the human touch, the human connection, the yeah, talking about these subjects. And you talk a lot about blocks. You're helping people with blocks. Give us a flavor of what a block might look like. What?
Oh, goodness. So when I say blocks, I am essentially saying beliefs, right? I kind of have this thing that I talk about as identity settings. There's definitions or meanings that you make of things in the world as you experience and you grow up, and you kind of form identity conclusions or beliefs as a result of those. And those conclusions are the things that you filter everything that you do through. So they're kind of running invisibly all the time in ways that you can sometimes see because you'll get a trigger, or sometimes you just can't see it and you can't see the way it's limiting you or what it's setting as your standard, essentially. So a block could be anything from I have a definition that, for example, um, you know, worth is what I produce, is the results that I produce, or selling means pressuring people, or, different definitions that you get as you grow up. And I might make a conclusion that, I don't want to pressure people. I'm the kind of person who doesn't pressure people. I'm the kind of person who's kind. And so selling and my conclusion about myself being kind are going to conflict, right? Or if I want to be somebody who's worthy, and I feel like, okay, but worth means producing results, and I haven't got these certain results, therefore maybe I'm not worthy for this. So essentially, the dance of those definitions and the beliefs that you form are the thing that sort of, causes behavior. And what I find is the way it really shows up is the permission that people give themselves to do things or to feel things or to be allowed things. Or so let's say it's, for example, somebody who is at, I don't know, 10K a month. For that person, thinking of operating at 100K a day is just so far from their kind of identity settings, what they think is possible, what they feel like they want, what they think they're allowed, what skills they think they have, that, identity is something that just keeps things coherent. It keeps you in the same place. And obviously, as an entrepreneur, you have to learn and you have to grow, you have to evolve, you've got to respond to the data in order for your business to keep thriving. So the blocks are plentiful, but quite often they actually just boil down to definitions that prevent you from feeling worthy, like you're allowed things, that you're deserving of things, that you're complete in some kind of way. So I'm sure most people know about the kind of sense that I'm not enough in some kind of way. But it can be quite a niggly thing that you don't actually realize where you don't feel enough
Mhm.
until you meet the thing that you need to be enough for. So it's one of those that can be quite context dependent, but we've all got them. We've all got beliefs that are running the show.
I like that the value piece that you've alluded to there. So I see this so often. Yeah, it's the story of the guy who's fixing the engine in the ship, and he goes up and he knocks it with a hammer and charges them 10 grand, and they're like, "Well, you just knocked it with a hammer." And it's like, "No, but I spent 25 years learning where to knock it."
Mm,
And
mhm,
so I often see people charging a fixed rate per hour, right?
mhm,
So now I'm charging $250 or pounds an
mhm,
hour for my services, and So I can't charge any more than that because nobody else does, right? But
Mm,
what problem are you actually fixing, right?
mhm,
Are you fixing an hour's worth of problem? Are you
mhm,
condensing, £150,000 worth of training plus 5 years of experience plus, making the mistake yourself into that hour?
mm,
And I was speaking to somebody else on a podcast just recently, and he was talking about having someone come to him, and charge him $10,000 for an hour's worth of consulting,
mhm,
and he made $1 million out of that learning. Right?
mhm,
And it's such a subtle shift in how we think, to what's our actual value, right?
mhm,
How do we define our value in ourselves so that we can go out, and then share it and get the right energy exchange? Right?
mhm,
We're talking about an energy exchange, and you go into a room and you feel a connection and an energy from someone, and you have this exchange.
mhm.
How do you value your time and your energy so that you can go to somebody else and give them that energy? Because it's got two things. One is what you're portraying, and if you say, okay, I'm going to give you this foundational piece of work, but I'm only going to charge you peanuts for it, you, as the person receiving, don't necessarily put any value behind it,
Mhm.
right? So,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's a fascinating space to work in, and
Mhm.
it sits so well in all spaces. So the
Yeah.
question for you then is, how do you take that and scale it?
My actual work.
Yeah, your work.
Yeah. So at the moment, for me, it is extremely exciting to get to push my work out to more and more people. And obviously, that now means focusing from, you know, doing the delivery and doing the stuff that you usually do to really thinking about pushing on how visible am I? How much value am I giving to the right people, to the people who really need this? There's the monetization side of it, and there's the scale of contribution and impact part of it. So scaling depends on what it means to you. But for me right now, it is a bit of both. It is scaling my message and finding a way for people who just feel very stuck to have some accessible tools or accessible language that makes them feel like there's a lot more hope and there's a definitive path to getting what they want in life. Because I mean, for me, the mission is I don't want to be deprived or limited in any way. And that's both financially, that is in my joy, that there is nothing I feel I need to be limited by. And I think a lot of us have grown up with this sense of we have to struggle in order to get reward or we have to earn it. Like earn a living is a very common saying. And in that is already that psychological frame of mind that I have to work hard in order to get this result. I have to earn it. I have to deserve it. So I think most of us, if not all of us, have to at some point come to terms and address that kind of idea of what are my values? What am I living for? And the scale question comes at how do I scale my values, really? It's like
Yeah.
if what matters to you is freedom, which is something that is very important to me, it's more how do I value my freedom more? And how do I scale that in the sense of sharing it more? So when I think of scaling, it's less of a just a number or how much money I'm making or whatever. It's all of those things, and the foundation of that is what you desire, what you're valuing, and what you're committing to, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. Yeah, I've been through all those stages where, I want to have £1 million in the bank.
Yeah.
I had £1 million in the bank. Then, I want to have this recurring revenue, or then I want to have, and I went through a really traumatic, business stage
Mm,
a few years ago during COVID.
mm,
I bought this amazing adventure center with indoor skydiving and indoor surfing and a hotel and a
mm,
gym, and basically lost it because there's nothing you can do. Sometimes you've got to let go, right? And
yeah.
I have such a firm belief in my own abilities, and you can't fix COVID, I'm afraid.
Mm, mm,
So we went right down to the bottom of the barrel. I really had to reevaluate what's important to me. Uh,
Mm,
Yeah, what does it mean? Your freedom is the thing that comes, directly to front of mind. What does freedom really mean? Yeah, we
mm,
just spoke about. I've just got back from France. Yeah, this year I've been to France, I've been to Mexico, I've been to Seattle. I've been to I got back from Prague today. I can't even remember. Yeah, so I've been to like 5 countries, this year alone. And that doesn't mean I sit here and I work from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. And get don't live the life I love.
yeah.
It's more important to me to live the life I love than to have £1 million in the bank.
Mm,
Yeah, and those two things can very much coincide.
yeah.
Yeah. But what are your values? What do you value the most, right?
Mm, mm. Yeah. And that is the thing, it is that they can coexist. But what I have found on the journey of making money, making money, losing money, making money, is you know, sometimes we're wanting things out of fear and out of anxiety. That the whole stance of using things to get security, of trying to feel safe and trying to feel secure, it's not bad in and of itself, but it can have a framing or a psychological framing where you're scared of loss, you're scared of not having enough. And you will never get to a place where it's enough. It never ever feels while you have that frame of reference. So I have had many times, just as you were saying, where you're like, okay, if I can make this much a month, then life will be whatever. It's always that formulation. If X can happen, then I'll have Y, right? And it's an absolute illusion. Like you can always have Y. It's you that's putting the condition on it, right? And
Right.
it's usually because we're scared and we don't believe it's true that we are deserving enough or worthy enough to deserve the joy as well as the success. And I found that because over my journey, I've worked with all sorts of people, and quite specifically, founders who sell their company and have that kind of transition period where, okay, I've come into wealth and now what? Why am I miserable? Why do I feel like this? I should be grateful. This doesn't feel very good. What was the purpose of all of that? And it's really because we often put success, and success meaning, getting a performance result, getting a certain revenue number, um, separate from, the fulfillment, the joy, the living from our own alignment. But it's quite difficult in the sense that we're not really taught how to have both. It's not really shown to us that this is how you do both. I think it's either here the A stars that you get in school, and if you get the A stars, you'll be rewarded because you'll be able to go and get this job and everyone will think you're smart. Or it's, yeah, go and just enjoy your life and backpack and have no money and live a spiritual life sort of thing. And it's the putting the two together that I think most of us haven't grown up with. And that's, I think that's the thing that we need to re-educate ourselves around.
Let me ask you a question
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah, go on.
The plumber's plumbing, the electrician's electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you have this, you know what you should do. You know knowledge-wise the things that work for your clients. Yeah. How well and how long did it take you to start doing those for yourself?
Oh my goodness. That's a really good question.
What are your blocks?
Oh my goodness, that's a really good question. So, to be honest, at this stage, my process was sort of selfishly for myself originally. When I was doing performance optimization, I was working with all sorts of people. I was working with kind of kids and families and CEOs, and it was all over the shop because what I did was just mental models. But I was growing my business and doing my business things at the time. So I thought, God, how do I use this for myself and not just, the CEO of a massive company? Because, I'm a business owner of a small business. Like, what do I do to optimize myself? And so that is actually how I birthed my actual process to find my blocks on a day-to-day basis. And I built an execution system based on that. So I actually use it every day and I have plenty of blocks. And one of the blocks that is quite a profound one that I have come up against and sometimes does return is this desire or condition to get it right. Which I think a lot of us have, high achievers,
I'm not
where
going to
we,
post this until it looks perfect.
yeah. Well, and it can operate like you don't even think that you're stuck in a perfectionism cycle. You just think, oh, I'm doing my job really well, and I want to do really well by my clients. I want to do whatever, and I want to whatever. But you don't realize how much certain uh, beliefs are running. And I would just find that I wanted to get things right because I knew historically I was always rewarded for getting things right. And um, because of that, you then get very afraid of getting things wrong, even if it's not that conscious. Because if somebody told me, oh, you're just afraid of failing or something, I'd be like, no, I failed lots of times. And I do this all the time. I do it with my clients, etc. But when you really go through the process of finding what is the underlying fear of a trigger or a block that you're having, you will find things that you'll find uncomfortable about yourself or that you don't really think you consciously identify with. So that would be one where you're trying to just figure out if I can just do this right thing, then I'll get the perfect result, or then I'll get kind of the best possible result.
Yeah.
And honestly, the big realign there is what is right isn't about the strategy necessarily. There's tactics and advice and knowledge and information that is very useful. But to activate that information and for it to be useful for you and where you are at that point of time, it requires it being aligned with where you psychologically are. So if I take on someone's great business advice, which is what a lot of people do, or this great strategy or this great tactic, and I don't feel psychologically aligned with it. Either I'm doubtful or a bit frustrated that I don't know how to get it right, or I'm just scared about what the results will be. That's the thing that doesn't make it work. It's not the strategy. Do you see what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's exactly where we are with AI, right? Yeah, this
Yes.
whole AI piece, we look out in the world and we know we should be doing it, and we see these guys doing these awesome things. Yeah, and then we try it, and it's actually way harder than what they make it look like.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just follow these steps and you do it. But the
Yeah.
underlying piece of all of that is you don't have all the other things together.
Hmm.
You don't have the core structure together. You don't have your SOPs together. You don't know what you're selling and who you're selling it to in the right level of detail. So
Mm.
you don't have the whole picture. And that's kind of what you're
Mm.
talking to, huh?
Yeah, essentially, any external thing is an amplifier of whatever you believe and think, and you're using it for and wherever you're at. So having to retrain and understand how to dial into what feels good in a sense of using my emotions as kind of data for knowing where I'm psychologically aligned and what's fear versus what's freedom. That really is my question all the time. I am trying to live in a way that is completely unlimited and there's no deprivation. So to do that, I have to be quite bold in asking myself, am I operating from freedom or from fear right now? And quite often it's from fear. And sometimes I have to really take a step back to understand, well, where's that fear coming from and what even is the fear? Because I feel like I'm just weighing up two options.
Yeah.
But over time I've come to quite quickly be able to see no, no, no. There's definitely an element of fear here. And even if it's sometimes it's excitement and fear, and they kind of masquerade each other. But if you're honest with yourself, you usually know. You usually know.
How often are we honest with ourselves, right?
Oh,
Well, that's
yeah,
so
that's a
so much of the
different
programming. Yeah.
that's the whole question. Yeah.
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 Because I think over the last few years, especially since this massive learning that I've done, the biggest psychological thing that I do with myself is I go into a trigger. Yeah, somebody triggers me. And then I have to stop myself and say, actually realize, yeah, that the trigger is my problem, not their problem.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have to start digging into actually, why did I feel like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is the thing that makes me feel like that? It's
Mm-hmm.
not that. It's something about that from my past, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that self-reflection, that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty difficult.
Yeah, it can definitely be. And I mean, I've done thousands of reps of this with like everyone under the sun, like billionaires to little kids and myself for many, many years. And still it's something that, you know, I've mastered it to a sense, but it evolves and you constantly meet new challenges. But at this point, it's really fun for me because I know that it's my growth edge now. Wherever I find something new, like a new fear or a new trigger, when I deal with it properly, it unlocks something for me. So now it's exciting because I'm like, ooh, there's a next level here somewhere that's going to open, it's going to expand who I am and what I'm able to do. So now it's exciting.
And that's the journey of mastery, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
fun journey.
And yeah, the unconscious, I forget what the four are. I should paste them up here because I always refer to them. Yeah, but from starting, you know nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. To then you think you know something.
Oh, unconscious competence.
And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I I've skydived a lot. I've jumped out of
Mm,
airplanes a lot. And you get up to your 200 jumps or your 300 jumps, and you think you're,
God.
yeah, you get up to your 1500 jumps, you realize actually I've got such a long way to go. You get up to
Wow.
2,500 jumps, you're like, I'm just beginning. Because
Wow.
there's such a, yeah, you go for to 95% of what you're able to do takes you a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then every 0.5% after that takes you a full 95% with the learning again to just
That's
move the
wild.
needle to move the needle. And I find that in so many things, right? I find it just about everywhere in life. You
Yeah.
keep on going through this. Yeah, when you really want to get good at what you're doing,
Hmm.
yeah, the more you realize, the more angles, the more subtleties, the more elements that you can dig into as you go through. So I love that framing.
Yeah.
So thinking about your work, thinking about how you're going to affect the world, uh, what would be one thing that you'd leave people with as we wrap up? What would be one lesson that you'd suggest people look into?
Mm. I think my one message would be that the results and the experience that you're having in life are always, without fail, a reflection of your beliefs, not your effort. And effort compounds and amplifies things, but the belief is the outpicturing of that is where your results are coming from. So I would say in a world now where we're so wrapped up in so many things, so many tools, so many things outside of ourselves, realizing that taking the time to stop and reflect and be honest with your emotions, with where you're at, what you're getting, and starting to think, how am I creating this? Is both a very confronting but liberating question to ask yourself. So that would be the one that I think can unlock a lot of freedom and a lot of kind of success for people. So that would be the one.
Amazing. Now, I will put all your details on the show notes and everywhere else. Where's your preferred place for people to get hold of you?
Well, probably LinkedIn, Dr. Amory King, or therealignment.com would be good.
Cool, cool. Well, thank you very much for joining. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and we'll do this again in a few months' time.
Thanks, Roy.
Thanks for listening to Power Movers, the podcast from All the Power, where our mission is to help business owners reclaim their time, reset their energy, and live the life they love. If this episode sparked something for you, your next step is simple. Take the fit check at allthepower.co.uk. It's a short clarity tool that helps you see where you are, what's getting in the way, and what might be possible if you have the right system. When you're ready, come and join the tribe. Power movers start with our signature framework called Elevate 360, a system built to help you escape survival mode, create structure, and move forward with power. Just remember, everything we share here is based on real stories, experience, and frameworks. It's not personal business advice. Always speak to a coach or advisor before making big decisions. Because in the end, it's about more than business. It's about building a life that you actually love. I'm Roy Castleman, and I'll see you in the next episode.